Welcome to the Baseball Insiders live on a Monday afternoon. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray. Jasson Dominguez is coming up to the Yankees, which is good timing because nobody wants to win the American League East. The Kansas City Royals certainly want a wild card berth at the very least. They had themselves a weekend, and the NL wild card is more up for grabs than ever. We're going to talk all about it, but of course, it would not be a complete show without the thoughts of FanSided's MLB insider and resident Philadelphia Eagles fan, Robert Murray, who's got himself a 1-0 start, and I do not have that. Robert, how are you doing?
Sorry about your Giants. Go Birds. It was one heck of a weekend. There is a lot going on in the sports world. Obviously, football just started up, but we got lots going on in baseball. We have some news kind of breaking before the show today about Jasson Dominguez of the Yankees. I know we'll be talking about that here right off the bat. But it's good to be here with you again, Adam. I missed you very much. How was your weekend? What's going on?
It was good. It was a classic first weekend of fall weekend, I feel like. Last week was obviously also September, Labor Day weekend, but this one, look, we're still a couple weeks away from the official start of fall, but it really did feel like stretch run baseball and college football and Notre Dame getting upset by an unranked team at home. That was like, oh, that's familiar. It feels like we're actually in September, October now, and the NFL season got underway yesterday. We will talk about NFL QBs as MLB teams later in this show. And if you like that and you want more, join us in the Discord. You can be either an all-star member at the upper level, top tier, where you can get priority responses to your questions in the chat here. Also, a private stream with us once a month. The Rumor Mill tier still gets you access to Robert and I between shows. You can ask us questions. We will answer them, although with regard to why Jasson Dominguez is coming up now, we're all waiting like the rest of you, and we'll talk about it in a second. Additionally, you can subscribe to the Moonshot. If you haven't, it's our weekly baseball email newsletter where the FanSided MLB team, that includes Robert Murray, break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. So the link there for subscription will be in the same description of this video as well if you want to hop on there and subscribe. Let's talk the Yankees and O's and Jasson Dominguez first. Then we will hop into the other races because going into this show before Dominguez got called up, we were going to sort of talk about the weird inertia of the AL East where the Yankees lose, the Orioles lose. The Yankees win, the O's win. They're sort of handing this half-game lead back and forth. They will be playing each other during the final week of the season. We got a 3-game set. The Orioles just sort of going through season-long malaise and a lot of injuries to blame there. Bradish, Wells, Grayrod, Felix Bautista, Jordan Westburg. It all catches up to you. But they've been playing middling baseball, especially since Westburg went down. But the Yankees have extra buttons to press. Like, they got Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil back this weekend. Both looked good. But Jasson Dominguez in the minors until now. Alex Verdugo trotting out every day to hit. He was, last I checked, 2 ground balls away from setting a big league record for rolled over ground balls to second base in a single season. And that's not a joke stat. That's a real stat. But he was hitting over 300 the last week or so since the Dominguez conversation got real loud. He's also playing banged up. Didn't hustle to first during the finale against the Rangers. A lot of people were like, hey, if he can't run, why is he here? Why is he still playing? We know Dominguez isn't getting called up until he can play every day, and he's getting called up today. So that means he's playing every day. It means somebody's hitting the IL or maybe a shocking Trent Grisham release, DJ LeMahieu DFA. We don't have the corresponding move yet, but we do know in this AL East race where no one seems to want to take a permanent step forward, the Yankees finally played an important card today.
Yeah, it's about time that the Yankees did this because we've been talking about this for weeks. It's been obvious that Jasson Dominguez needed to be in the majors. Like, he is by far and away their best outfield option. He's better than Verdugo, who's hurt, better than Trent Grisham, and he gives you a legit chance of winning. And I don't understand the Yankees' logic behind keeping him in the minors while these guys were floundering at the major league level. Clearly they saw something or wanted to do something that, like, they wanted to give all the guys in the major league level as long of a leash as possible, but finally that leash is broken. I'm very curious to see exactly what the corresponding move is here. Could it be a Grisham release? Could it be a DJ LeMahieu DFA? Like, we don't know yet. But Jasson Dominguez has a locker in the Yankees' clubhouse, which is a pretty good indication that he's getting called up. And maybe this can finally get the Yankees over the hump here in the American League East, because both of these teams, if you're looking at the Yankees and Orioles, they're extremely, extremely talented. And the division was there for the taking, but nobody was seemingly like going out and grabbing it. Like they were, as you said, they were winning at the same time, they were losing at the same time, and they just were not pressing the right buttons. Maybe this can finally add some life to that clubhouse, and get them reinvigorated and get them ready for the stretch run here, because we got about 3 weeks left in the regular season before the postseason gets here. We're going to see teams start to really make some big moves, maybe some good moves like this one, or it could even be some uncomfortable moves. Maybe the Astros do something with Justin Verlander in their rotation. We're going to be talking about that later as well. There's just a lot going on in baseball, but Dominguez getting called up was absolutely the right move and a long time coming for the Yankees.
If you like mind-bending September baseball where every series tightens the strings on someone else's playoff hopes, this is a good week for you, because we got the Yankees and Royals to start the week. Royals right now in that, technically the Yankees are a half game up on the O's. So the O's are in the 4 spot and the Royals are in the 5 spot. Every Yankees win obviously hurts the Royals' chances of moving up the wild card standings, but every Royals win helps the Yankees potentially clinch a playoff berth, because it makes it harder for the Red Sox and Tigers and Mariners at the bottom there to get in. The Red Sox are playing the Orioles. So technically Yankee fans want the Red Sox to win, but they also don't, because they don't want to see them in October. It's close enough that still kind of matters, but you can't help but root for the Orioles to lose every day. If you like weird pretzels, this is a week for you. And by the way, there is still a Red Sox Twins series on the horizon. So the crazy, strange tightening doesn't end this week. A lot of the teams you want to be seeing play each other do. The Tigers play the Orioles 6 times. I don't know if anybody knew that, but there you go.
I mean, hey, the weird scheduling quirkiness or whatever you want to call it. I mean, who's playing the Tigers 6 times?
We've got O's, Tigers.
Okay.
Each team has a home series, but this week it's Orioles, Red Sox, Yankees, Royals, then Yankees, Red Sox. And I think Orioles, Tigers, end of week. It's all nuts.
Oh, it's absolutely nuts. And I'll tell you, like, all this stuff right here in terms of the scheduling, it's working out perfectly for Major League Baseball. And if you also look at it now, you got Bobby Witt Jr. going up against Aaron Judge here in a little bit. That's in terms of like marketing the game and having the best possible matchups for this late in the season. I think this is a perfect. It's going to be perfect for Major League Baseball over the next 3 weeks. It's going to end up marketing the game properly. It's going to build the buzz up for the postseason, and then all of a sudden, it's just going to. I think the postseason this year, in terms of how many good teams there are, there's so much unpredictability. But from now until the World Series, it could be some of the best baseball that I think we've seen in quite some time. It's shaping up to be so unpredictable. There's going to be a lot of upsets. It's going to be a lot of really good teams in the postseason with no real clear favorites, despite some teams with absolutely massive payrolls and some star-studded teams. Like nobody's really like defined themselves as the like definitive great team in baseball. At least as of yet, we'll see. But I can't freaking wait. I'm going to have all 5 TVs just blaring with baseball. Kind of like I did with Sunday football yesterday. It's gonna be a good time in the Murray household, in the households everywhere, basically.
Yeah, households everywhere, as long as you can watch the Baseball Insiders and zoom into Robert's screens and see the action behind him. I mean, call me a homer. I do think this Yankees-Royals series this week is a fun potential playoff preview, especially because look, if the Yankees fall into the 4 and the Royals hang out in the 5, that's the best 2 out of 3 in the Bronx to start October. That's a hell of a wild card round. This week, the Royals are coming off a series I think they definitely needed to basically put their stamp on as a postseason. They were a contender. They were sort of neck and neck with the Twins for that last spot. They were vulnerable to the challengers like the Tigers and Red Sox. But I think this weekend, they sweep the Twins. If you looked at the pitching matchups before the series started, I think you thought the Royals will probably win the Friday night, but Saturday, Sunday will be a dogfight. And Saturday ended up being an exciting comeback win. They come alive in the 8th after doing nothing the whole game. Not only do they take that series from Minnesota, they sweep it. They definitely didn't have to sweep it to make a statement, but they do. And they really, to me, now cement themselves as good story, great rotation. Bobby Witt Jr. is going to finish second in the MVP race. To, okay, now I don't even know if we have to worry about them. They've got a significant gap between them and the teams that are trying to get into the wild card field and aren't in yet. I think, to me, this weekend sort of cemented them as, okay, that's a playoff team. I don't really have to worry about the seeding anymore, but I'm curious your thoughts there.
I'm right there with you on this one. I think the Royals absolutely are a postseason, like they're a playoff team. And you can look at a lot of different things here. Bobby Witt Jr. is obviously the top reason. Like when they extended him in the offseason, this is exactly what they had in mind, is getting to the postseason and having a shot at winning a World Series. And I also want to kind of like take a step back and go into their offseason a little bit, because they were one of the most aggressive and big spenders in the offseason. They spent a lot, especially trying to upgrade the pitching staff. And they signed some veterans, and both in the rotation and the bullpen. And there's people in the moment that were wondering exactly why they were doing that, because they did not look like a legit postseason team. But they had a vision in Kansas City. They obviously got veteran pieces, or they had pieces already on the roster. You look at Witt Jr. You also look at like Salvador Perez. You look at all these guys on the roster. You end up adding some of these pieces to the rotation and the bullpen, and they viewed themselves as a team that was up and coming. They wanted to show people that they were serious about winning and trying to compete this season and also moving forward. And they absolutely, to me, they've exceeded expectations. They have a clear vision, a clear future in Kansas City. It's all headlined by Bobby Witt Jr., and I think it's only going to get brighter. I think this season, with how well it's gone, if they get into the postseason, which I expect at this point, that they're going to be a team that has a shot at least of winning at least one series. I don't view them as a World Series team quite yet, but if everything continues to trend this way, them reaching the World Series feels kind of attainable in the next year or two. Maybe that might be too optimistic. Who knows? But I really like what J.J. Picollo has done there. I love what Bobby Witt Jr. is doing there. They have the pieces. If they keep building to it, I think this future is really bright. So good job, Kansas City.
This weekend at Yankee Stadium, we've got start of the week. Brady Singer, Seth Lugo, Cole Reagans. Like, if you want to see what the Royals are all about, this is a pretty good series to watch. And the Jasson Dominguez spice only adds an additional flavor to that. This could easily be a first-round playoff preview, and is probably not the last time we see the Kansas City Royals. Again, as a homer Yankee fan, gotta say, kind of feels like when the Yankees and Astros met up in the 2015 wildcard game, where the Yankees team felt a little old and stale, and the Astros felt a little confusing, and people didn't really know much about them, but then they took it to the Yankees behind Dallas Keuchel, and then they ended up making the postseason a number of times since then. I don't know, for those of you who follow baseball, the Astros are sort of a familiar playoff team at this point. And it all
just a little bit. Yeah.
They've been around and they've gotten some experience. And it all sort of started with that one game wild card. So maybe this year is the year where that happens again and gets reset with the Royals. I also would be remiss if I just didn't mention that we all sort of crown Aaron Judge the MVP, and then he hasn't hit a home run in like a week and a half. 2 weeks. It's been a while. Like, is this MVP race that we declared it? We've called Bobby Witt Jr. the best second place finishing season in a long time. Does he still have a chance of capturing the MVP this year?
I'm gonna guess I think there's always a chance, but I think it's pretty unlikely at this point, because I think Judge feels like the clear leader in the clubhouse for winning the MVP award. And it's not like, and both players right now are struggling. It's not like Judge, because Judge's struggles are kind of getting, or his lack of homers, I should say, is getting a decent amount of press. But it's not like Witt Jr. is really lighting it up either lately. He's hitting, 226 in his last 14 days and also 227 in his last 7 days. So it's not, those aren't earth-shattering numbers, but I don't want to tear either of these guys down for their recent struggles. They've been freaking historic this season. What Judge has done at the plate and hitting all these home runs, what Bobby Witt Jr. has done, like both offensively and defensively, they're putting up numbers that we haven't seen before. And you have to wonder, Judge, I mean, obviously you know exactly what you're getting with Judge. He's just proven year in and year out that he's just a dominant force at the plate, and he's one of the best leaders in baseball. But Bobby Witt Jr. is not even 25 years old yet. He can get better, which is crazy. It's scary for the other 29 teams in baseball. It's why the Royals were super aggressive in the offseason trying to get a deal done. It's why they ultimately gave him the biggest deal in franchise history. He may not win it this year, but there are MVP awards, and yes, I'm talking plural, in his future. He is every bit the superstar that they envision. Honestly, he might be even better. He hasn't even reached his ceiling yet. So good. Yeah, he's exciting. He's thrilling. Good job, Kansas City, for getting him locked up.
Yeah, I think we thought the year 1 to year 2 leap was what the Royals were expecting and represented a pretty solid trajectory. And then year 3, he just blew the doors off and blew up the building. So good job, Bobby Witt Jr. I would agree with you. Multiple MVPs are not out of the question at all. And in fact, are now my expectation.
Yeah.
Update on Dominguez for those on the live stream. If you're watching this show, you know that Jack Curry is the one to trust with regard to Yankees news. I keep refreshing Twitter to see if we get an update for everybody. Jack Curry just tweeted, endeavoring to find out the corresponding move for Dominguez. Ellis was optioned, but that spot was supposed to be for Birdie. Stay tuned. So even Jack Curry does not know right now. So it's either an injury that must be handled or a really impactful DFA, like DJ LeMahieu or Trent Grisham or somebody long-standing.
Yeah, because, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but maybe the player doesn't know yet, and he's waiting for the green light to report before the player finally. I've been in that situation before, but yeah, it's gonna be a very interesting one in the Bronx. I am very curious to see exactly what this is because it could be a big one.
Yeah,
who knows?
Who knows? And hopefully we know. I mean, there's a game tonight. We got to know soon. But he's active, not just a taxi squad participant, and we'll get you the information when we can. Meanwhile, let's pivot over to the National League because the NL wild card race is we went from saying that, hey, maybe the 3 teams we're most confident in to make a World Series run out of the NL are all in the NL West. And now the Diamondbacks and Padres are both sort of ceding a little bit of ground to the Mets. And now the Mets and Braves are locked in that final spot, but the D-backs and Padres are not secure. I want to know what your level of confidence is in both Arizona and San Diego. And throw the Mets in there now, too, because last show, I think we thought those were maybe the 3, and Atlanta was going to fall off. Now, Mets just wrapped up outside of yesterday an extremely strong extended stretch. The Diamondbacks and Padres treading water a little bit, finally, after months of being scorching.
Yeah, and I mean the Mets, they look like a legit postseason team too. And like but you look at the Diamondbacks and the Padres here. I have confidence in both, but I have more belief in the Padres than I do the Diamondbacks to at least make like a sustained like postseason run here. And my logic behind this really kind of stems from my lack of belief in the Diamondbacks' pitching staff. And I think the Padres, they have the pieces that can get them through. But if you look at the Diamondbacks' rotation, it's not as strong as it once was. Like Brent Strom is one of the highly regarded pitching coaches in recent baseball history, but they have just been not able to really put it together this season. They're a bottom 5 unit. And to me, that kind of seems like the one thing that could truly like crater their season. And if you also look at their most recent stretch here in their schedule, they lost 2 of 3 to the Mets. They lost 3 of 4 to the Dodgers. They took 2 of 3 against the Giants before losing 2 of 3 against the Astros. The Padres, to me, the Padres have the talent where they can absolutely make a deep run here. And I mean, there's plenty of competition though. Like it's not going to be easy by any means, but I'm a huge believer in what they've built there. I think Mike Schultz is a terrific manager. Not saying Torey Lovullo isn't. I want to make that abundantly clear. If you watch other shows, Lovullo, I think, is one of the best in baseball. But I think the Padres have more ingredients and more pieces to really kind of do this thing. I know it's been a struggle lately because so I'm going through all the schedules here. They took 2 of 3 against the Tigers, lost 2 of 3 to the Giants, and they got swept by the Rays. So it's not been all sunshine and rainbows here for the Padres. It's been some struggles, but I think they're going to weather the storm. I think they're going to be a team that is absolutely a nightmare to face in the early rounds of the postseason. So we'll see, but that's my read as of right now.
I am also sticking Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets. I'm not wavering yet, but I will say the door is a little bit further open now than I thought it might be when we were talking about this race about a week or 2 ago when it felt like only one spot was up for grabs. Now I would say solidly none of these spots are secured.
Wait, oh, sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Ooh, I was wrapping it. I was saying I don't think any of the NL wildcard spots are necessarily secured at this point.
Yeah.
And I thought we were looking at a guarantee a couple of weeks ago, and now I think, hey, open for business. Speaking of open, the Houston Astros playoff rotation. Spencer Arrighetti felt like he secured a spot in that rotation for most of the second half. Got bombed in his last start. Ronel Blanco, the indication was he was being taken out and moved to the bullpen to conserve innings, but he looks like a better starter than Arrighetti. And Justin Verlander, his worst start ever yesterday on Sunday Night Baseball, on a night when he really needed to show that he could be the Verlander of old. Instead, Pavin Smith said, "You are the Verlander and you are also old." The Pavin Smith game, we will never forget. That allowed the D-backs to salvage the finale in Houston. I don't know whether Justin Verlander will be on the Astros playoff roster. And I know that if he is in the rotation, in the 4 spot, I don't think he should be unless he really shows us a significant run of indications that he can be the Verlander that we all know. Because he admitted it himself. He said he was atrocious, and he sure was in a game, a showcase game, where he needed to be much better than that.
Oh, absolutely. And like, this was the Astros, when Verlander returned, they wanted to give him as much time as possible to try to round into form, because he was coming back, from the injury, and they gave him a long leash. They viewed him as one of their big, like, additions mid-season, if you want to call it that. And it has not worked out that way at all. Like, you look at it, and he has an 8.78 ERA in his last 6 starts. It has been an absolute kind of nightmare for him, for the team. And it's going to result in some really difficult questions being asked, because when you think of Justin Verlander, you think of a guy who is going to lead your postseason rotation and give you a legitimate chance of winning the biggest games, whether it's in the ALCS, the World Series, like, you name it. Like, you want Justin Verlander on the mound. And we're now 19 games away from the postseason being here. And unless he really starts rounding into form and starts bouncing back, I'm right there with you. I don't think they can have him on the postseason roster. I think it would, like, if he continues performing like this, he's going to get yanked real early, and it's going to put just a huge strain on the bullpen. And another thing too is he has not thrown past the 6th inning since May 29th. That is not good. And it's sad seeing Verlander like this, because he's one of baseball's ultimate competitors and one of the faces of recent baseball in terms of pitching. But he is just not performing, and the Astros are not there yet, but they're on the verge of having to make a really difficult decision here. And that's not a conversation I would want to have if I was Dana Brown or Joe Espada or whoever else in Houston, because that's tough. That's real tough.
Congrats, Joe Espada, first-year manager. If you want to try to earn the Manager of the Year honors over Stephen Vogt and Matt Quatraro, you could boost your case by convincing Justin Verlander to stay home in October.
Yeah. And I'll also tell you this too, is Joe Espada was getting a lot of heat for at the start of the season, considering the Astros' slide, and we there was people who wanted him fired, not media people, at least I don't think so, or not ourselves, but just like fans around the team. He's really bounced back. He's got the Astros in first place, so good job there. And we also now have DJ LeMahieu is now going to the injured list. That is the corresponding roster move. So it involved DJ, just not kind of the move we all thought here.
Yeah, no heart-wrenching DFA. Look, DJ LeMahieu contributed so much to the Yankees in 2019 and 20. The second contract did not go his way. I still think, at the time, I thought the worst he could ever become was a viable bench piece, so I saw no reason not to extend him. Then his foot fell off, foot fractures, difficult to come back from. I don't know if that sapped his power or if it was the aging curve hitting sooner combined with that rehab, but either way, never the same, but still invaluable to the Yankees. So you don't have to do the eulogy quite yet, even though I had one prepared. He has a hip impingement, 10-day IL, retroactive to September 6th. He didn't play in the whole weekend series. Maybe a tough conversation for Aaron Boone and the Yankees today. They had to tell DJ LeMahieu, you have a hip impingement. DJ LeMahieu said, no, I don't have that. What is that? They go, you have it. You've always had it. You have this bad hip impingement. But yes, Dominguez up, Birdie back, DJ to the IL temporarily, and they said they would not call Dominguez up unless he was going to play every day. So you'd imagine he's in the lineup tonight. And Alex Verdugo is not on the IL, but is probably not very happy today either.
No, and like if you call Dominguez, you're clearly ready to give him everyday at bats, because if you call him up and just sit him on the bench, that's doing him absolutely no good. Like getting him consistent. Like that would be absolutely mind-boggling if they ended up doing that.
ruining his eligibility, his rookie eligibility with service time, just having him on the bench while Alex Verdugo keeps rolling balls over to the second base hole. Hey, we'll see. This is a playoff series today, so we'll see how it goes. Before we end the show, football's real. You can't. It's not real. You can't hurt me. The NFL is not an existing sport. I know you want me to say go Birds again, so go Birds. Look, I watched some absolute dreck yesterday from the New York Football Giants, but it did get me thinking about comparing MLB teams to their equivalent NFL quarterbacks after what I watched yesterday. Tough call who to label as Daniel Jones. Obviously, you could go with the Chicago White Sox, but I will call the Pittsburgh Pirates Daniel Jones just because I think there was some value in running it back to start the year, and then we saw what we saw, complete collapse. Now it's over. Nope, you got the data you needed. We're done. We might be done with Derek Shelton. We might be done with Ben Cherington, but we are certainly done with Daniel Jones. I'm going to call the Dodgers Caleb Williams sad maybe because obvious star power there, but I'm still not sure they can throw after the first game of the season. And who's in the Dodgers playoff rotation? Again, Glasnow coming back, Kershaw and his toe. Gavin Stone. Where's he at? So obviously, the flash is significant and they win. Can they throw? And then there's really a chance that the Mets are Derek Carr too. And we get to the end of the year and we're like, what are you doing in the playoffs? Weren't we just laughing at you? The Mets are right there, and the Saints, albeit against a dreadful Carolina Panthers team, put up 47 points and they have a big game with the Cowboys this week. I am curious as to your thoughts on what we saw this weekend and the equivalent MLB action.
My first thought that I saw this weekend was the Eagles are better than the Giants.
I will have to crunch the numbers on that, but so yeah, I think they might be.
Yeah, I think I might be onto something with that one. But I will. It's very rare that I disagree with you on this podcast, but I disagree with you on the Daniel Jones Pirates thing because I think the Pirates at least have some hope.
I think Daniel Jones has some hope. Yeah, let's get him.
Yeah, I think the hope is long gone with Daniel
Maybe I was thinking of Jared Jones. I mean, you never know.
To me, I think Daniel Jones is the Chicago White Sox because if we're being honest, they both suck. They're terrible. Another one I would go with is Kyler Murray and the Kyler Murray and the San Francisco Giants because I think they're both really talented, but they just continue to come up short. And that was kind of fun by me, wasn't that? Yeah, see that. There we go. Another one that I'll do. I wasn't so sure about this one. There was a couple teams I was choosing for Jordan Love here. It's either the Kansas City Royals or the Milwaukee Brewers because I think both teams are up and coming. They're really talented, and I think they have a shot of being the face of their respective conferences or whatever. The Brewers, absolutely, they look the part. The Royals are up and coming. Jordan Love looks like a stud. So we'll see. Then my other one is a kind of obvious one here is Patrick Mahomes and the Houston Astros because championships. Mahomes doesn't have a scandal against him, not to my knowledge. Yeah. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I like your other ones though. The only one I disagree with was Daniel Jones.
Yeah. Well, no matter who we agree Daniel Jones is, it's obviously a team that has a lot of trouble ahead of them and a storied history, a storied past. The Giants are celebrating 100 years. The Pirates, back to the turn of the Pirates are in the first World Series ever played, but not much going right there and certainly not much going right for the New York Football Giants. If Kyler Murray is really the San Francisco Giants, then Farhan Zaidi better hear the call of duty this offseason and really get to working on that roster.
Oh, that was a job well done. That was very good. And yeah, he's got his work cut out for him. And as I said on the last show, with him extending Matt Chapman and doing that deal, that my firm expectation is he's back in San Francisco, and hopefully he does understand his call of duty here because he's got a lot of work to do. He's got lots of work. Speaking of a lot of work to do, I would just watch that Seinfeld episode the other day where George Costanza goes, "Oh, I got a lot to do." Always acting busy. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, we're not acting busy. We're actually doing the work on this show. And unlike Daniel Jones, I can get through 2 reads. Here's the first one. Join us in the Discord. either at the All-Star tier or the Rumor Mill tier. You can ask us questions at either tier, but priority in the comments goes to the All-Stars in a private stream once a month. Here's my second read, Daniel Jones. You don't have to lock on to the first read. You can go to the second. You can pivot. And number 2 says, please subscribe to the Moonshot. It's the weekly baseball email newsletter I mentioned earlier with a fan-sided MLB team. That's Robert Murray and his cohorts break down all the biggest stories in the big leagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We'll be back here Thursday, 3:30 Eastern again. I prepped the eulogy for DJ LeMahieu. I didn't have to, but Daniel Jones, I did have to. You got to be gone, my friend. It has to be the end for you in the NFL, or at least in your current home. I wish you well, unlike the people that booed you outside the players' entrance yesterday, but not your forte is not quarterbacking for the New York Giants anymore. A good backup job may do you well. Robert Murray, thank you for joining me as always. And we got to chase a little news on the air with Dominguez too. I expected another angry podcast where I just pounded the table and said it was right in front of us, but he's back. He's here. So I guess it maybe kind of is right in front of the Yankees. And tonight could be the start of a very exciting series in the Bronx.
It's going to be a very exciting season, or a series, I should say. And it's about dang time that the Yankees did this, because it was a long time coming. It's going to give them hopefully a shot in the arm and get them back on track, because the Yankees being a legitimate, like, awesome team is, I think, really good for baseball. Because, I mean, I think people kind of view them as a villain. I think that's probably a very fair thing to say. But
yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And, like, it's good for baseball. I'm very excited for the Yankees here. Very excited for Dominguez to finally get the call, because I think he's really going to shine here. And everyone in baseball is going to be able to watch him on the national stage. Can't wait. But Adam Weinrib, I appreciate you having me. See you on Thursday. And go Birds.
See you on Thursday. I regrettably must say that the Birds will continue to go. The Giants won't. Dominguez starting in center field tonight. Aaron Judge DH, Juan Soto in right. Verdugo's still in there and left, standing on the bench. That's a good lineup. Today is the day to do that. And before we sign off, I was about to sign off. Another one of my guys got promoted today, debuting Thursday for the Texas Rangers in Seattle. Right into the edge of the wild card race, Kumar Rocker will be starting for the Texas Rangers. That just dropped. I'm going to watch that one too. You're going to find me Yankees Red Sox Thursday night. No, thank you. I will be watching Kumar Rocker in Seattle instead.
I will be watching that as well. I'm fascinated to see the debut on that one, because there's some different opinions of him around baseball. I'm very curious to see exactly what the reality is. But yeah, that's gonna be another fall. We got some good calls already. And it's only Monday afternoon. We love it. We got Dominguez and Kumar Rocker. Let's go. Well, who's next? Because things always come in threes. So I'm gonna start making some calls and try to figure this one out.
I think coming up next is DJ LeMahieu, who's coming back. His hip impingement healed itself, and Dominguez is going back down. No, we will see you on Thursday, hopefully with more to report. We'll see how Dominguez does. We'll see how Yankees Royals shakes out. Can the Mets continue their push? Can the Padres and D-backs hold them off? What's up with the Braves? What's up with the Braves? What's up with the Twins? We'll see you on Thursday. We'll know more then. Thanks for joining us today on the Baseball Insiders.
Thank you, everybody.